it's bull or bear, I don't care. It's quite a rough ride, just like life. But I'm kinda patient, cause only time will tell. It's gonna go up, so you better stay calm. And grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday. I am the Crypto Crow, and we're going to get busy today. What's up, Crypto Chef? I see you. We're gonna touch on some Wykoff patterns because I think these are really playing out like textbook. And I had some things prepared yesterday, and then everything reset on me. My camera got mirrored. All kinds of weird stuff happened. So we're gonna cover it today in a real way. I've enlisted the help of some AI as well, but I think you're gonna like what is being analyzed right now. So we're going to cover it, and I don't want this video to be super long because I'd like more people to see it. So I'm not going to waste a lot of time, but I do want to point out we've got 3 days and 8 hours left for the drawing to win a free website up to $5,000 in value. So if you are a small business owner and you're in need of a website, or you have a crappy website, or you're still on WordPress and you're tired of paying for plugins and your site can't be optimized and you're just always struggling with it, just go to the link in the description below and fill this out. I'll even post it in chat real quick so that you guys have it in chat because, yeah, this is a big deal for me. I've got about 35 people so far that have, you basically, to enter the drawing, you just enter your information here, run the free SEO audit, and as long as you score under a 70 in the SEO audit, you're eligible to win a free website. So, and this is for real businesses. Like, this isn't like, I always wanted a website for my Matchbox cars. I mean, I guess it is what it is. If you win, you win. But yeah, this is definitely, this is coming. So not that long yet. We've got 3 days and 8 hours. I'm going to announce it on Valentine's Day with love. So, yeah, let me know. Cause I'd love to build, 5 to 10 websites, for clients and things, but ultimately I'm going to do a free one to show everybody what I do with basically just a rando. Okay. So, it'll be fun. Now let's get to the nitty gritty. This is what I wanted to pull up yesterday. There's a couple things that I'm going to show you. But this is my up-down scenario for what may be expected here. And you can see the price action has moved a bit. This is on a daily candle here. You can see the price action has moved a bit. We touched this zone for like, what scenario are we looking at in terms of what is likely coming? What is this significant drop? What does it mean? Is this a spring? Is this something else? And we're going to cover it because I've analyzed it, and I think it's pretty clear at this point where we're heading, what's going on. But I'm going to show you anyway. So scenario A is if the accumulation begins near the current levels, which is 65,000 to 75,000. And because basically we're looking at an accumulation phase. I think we're in an accumulation phase, which is actually a good thing, because you don't typically get these substantial drops in an accumulation phase. You get them in a markdown or a distribution. So that's what I think is likely happening. Since we're back at the breakout level from the prior accumulation, this zone has strong structural significance. If price stabilizes here over the coming weeks and you begin to see declining volume on sell-offs, tests of the lows that hold, and a narrowing range that signals accumulation is forming. This would likely take 4 to 8 weeks. Now, this is in the grand common rule scheme of a lot of these playouts, a lot of these schematics and plans. But realistically, I think we're seeing things happen in much shorter time frames right now. I almost feel like the quickening is happening in these crypto markets, because a lot is happening with regulations, so the infrastructure bill, which apparently they I don't know if they're still meeting. I haven't seen an update, but around 1 o'clock today, apparently they were all meeting again in Washington to try and hammer out some things. I don't know if we're going to get like a bullish take on what happens, or if it's going to be completely stalled at the Senate because the banks aren't getting their way. I don't know yet. We're going to find out hopefully sooner than later. And I think that ultimately that may dictate which of these two directions we go. Scenario B, one more leg down, capitulation to $55,000 to $60,000 before the accumulation. Just because we've got what could potentially be a spring, it doesn't necessarily mean that we can't get another leg down in a scenario B in this kind of distribution phase. Now we're going to look at this. This is a bunch of stuff I've been playing with, and here we are right now. We are the blue line, okay? And you can see we got this major dump to the downside, which we bottomed out here around, what was that? Almost $68,900. Okay. Why do I feel like we hit lower? No, 62,750. Sorry, around 60,000, but around 62. Yeah, I think we hit 60 grand. But this is a line chart just to keep things simple. Now, we are in an accumulation phase. The only thing that we're not quite sure about is whether this accumulation phase starts here and starts working its way, or if it starts down here with another dip to around the $55,000 mark, which would be somewhere down here. Okay. Now, what these yellow, pink, and orange lines are different outcomes to what's happening next. It's pretty much a sure thing. I'm going to hazard a guess. This isn't financial advice. I'm just some old dude on the interwebs. But ultimately, I was, and I'm going to show you because I asked Claude, what is happening? I gave it the chart. I said, I gave it the other chart. I said, what's happening? What phase are we in? What's the expected outcome? What are the potential tops and bottoms of these phases? Which one's next? That sort of thing. And I'm going to cover that. I'm going to show you and read it to you. But these are the likely outcomes. Now, what these are just bars patterns of the previous phases to show structure, not necessarily, a markup phase could go substantially higher than this, obviously. But if everything played out according to the rules with the exact same structure, time frames, and everything else as the previous Wykoff patterns that have played out, that would still take us to new all-time highs by like September. Okay. So we don't know if that's going to play out 100%. It could be much higher than that. We could get substantial rallies depending on what plays out between now and then. Let's be real about it. Nobody knows for sure. I don't know. I'm always right sometimes. So, but this is ultimately what an accumulation phase looks like. It's still very choppy. Everybody's going to be wondering what's going to happen, and we're going to come up here and then we're going to drop, and everybody's going to be like, oh no, we're going lower, and then we're going to come back up, and it's just going to keep fucking with everybody. Basically, that's what it's all about. This is where the big deal, the big whales, all of the institutions, this is where they're going to be accumulating. Leverage is going to be wiped out. So if you're using, really high leverage on trades, you're going to lose your money. That's all there is to it. So don't do it. I've learned even trading on 3X is dangerous when you've got Binance in the market. Ha ha ha. So anyway, after an accumulation phase, we typically either go into a reaccumulation, which is they're common, but not as common as what is generally next after an accumulation phase, which is a markup. A markup is like a really strong rally. This is like almost parabolic to an extent. And this could just really run. These are just bar patterns of previous things that have happened. You can see this is a bars pattern of this markup phase here. It's basically what that is, line for line, candle for candle, basically. Now, from there is when we get the next distribution phase and then a potential markdown schematic playing out from there. That may very well become the bottom. But when it happens, it'll likely start at a much higher point. And then I honestly think we're going to have a system of these Wykoff patterns play out in many cycles within the grander cycle of things. And I really, truly do not think that this bear market is going to last as long as we've seen them in the past. I think the narrative for the 4-year cycle has been playing out. because why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't the institutions basically let all of the 4-year cycle believers? I at this point, I do not believe it still. I just don't. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I still do not believe we are in a 4-year cycle. I definitely think that there is way too much happening, and there's so much confluence in the bullish nature of what is to come, especially once this infrastructure bill is sorted out. And 2026 is going to be a year with so much bullish news happening in the crypto space. I don't see how it could logically play out as a continuation of a bear market. I think we are in a bear market right now. We're in a bear market. I don't think it's going to be like the 2-year bear market that most people have grown to expect in a 4-year cycle. I just don't think that's going to be the case. If anything, I could see we have like a year on, a year off, a year on, a year off. And then even that can potentially change between now and 2030, depending on how things continue to move forward. Crypto adoption is going to continue growing en masse across the globe in a multitude of ways. And yes, it's going to be focused on stable coins, because that's the first to be regulated. But I do also believe that AI is here to stay. AI is only going to continue growing exponentially. And the more it grows, the more it's going to take over in terms of what it monitors, manages, manipulates, and does whatever it's going to do. And I do believe that crypto is going to be the, what's the word? I mean, I think crypto is going to be the money for AI. And we're already seeing like Claude bots hiring one another to do particular tasks for another bot, and they're paying each other in crypto. This is already happening, right? This is why I always dive into new technologies. I'm not a wizard like a lot of these guys, like, you know, explaining you can do this and you can do that. But I do believe that this is absolutely the future. And I honestly do think also that it's just a matter of time until everybody is running their own AI bot assistant to help them with a lot of different things. I just think it's inevitable. So anyway, now let's go into the actual write-up for this. Completed schematic is the Wykoff distribution. This is ultimately what was completed in this major dip to the downside that shook out everyone and their mother and brother and grandfather and everyone. Okay, that's basically what it is. This was a big distribution schematic. Now this is calling it a markdown schematic with a question mark because it wasn't necessarily confirmed exactly what it was yet. But now Claude, which is basically the smartest AI model on the interwebs right now, is basically calling it a completed Wykoff distribution. The sideways trading range from roughly November of 2025 through late January of 2026, 88,000 to 100,000, fits a classic Wykoff distribution pattern following the markdown from the 126 high. Okay, so yes, this was a confirmed markdown. Now, but there are two different schematics for a markdown, and we weren't sure which one that was going to be yet. So anyway, this goes into every stage based on the price action of where the PSY, the BC, the automatic reaction, the secondary test, which I think we could potentially be in now. No, we're in the SC. The UTAD, Ellipse, SAO, the sign of weakness, all of this stuff is played out. The sign of weakness basically played out in the markdown phase that bottomed out at $60,001. Okay, let me make this a little bigger to make sure you guys can see it. There we go. Okay, so now the current phase we are in, early accumulation phase A. All right. And at some point, I'm going to chart this out much more detailed for everybody. But the massive volume spike and sharp bounce off of $60,000 strongly suggests a selling climax, the hallmark of phase A and a Wykoff accumulation schematic. Here's where things likely map. The selling climax, the $60,001 low with that huge volume bar, panic selling absorbed by large buyers. Who are those large buyers? The same people that are perpetuating these narratives to scare the shit out of you and get you to sell before everything rallies in the next phases. That's who. The institutions, the funds, all of the people that are in the know. There was a rumor going around that Trump apparently he made a statement about buying in at $60,000 before it happened, and then it happened. And so, of course, you know where his entry was. And sure enough, that could have very well been the start of this new phase. The automatic rally, the current bounce to 69,000. This rally should define the upper boundary of the new trading range. What comes next in potential bottom? After the AR completes, potentially in the $72,000 to $78,000 zone, let's take a quick look at it. We're down here. We are currently at, so we did go up to about 70,883. Maybe we go up a little bit more, but we'll see. Back down towards the 60K area. So this is basically saying to expect another dump down by around $8,800 from where we're at. This ST typically comes on lower volume than the SC. That's the key confirmation that selling pressure is exhausted. Potential ultimate bottom range of 58,000 to 63,000 on the secondary test, which is basically where you can actually kind of see it here playing out, where it basically comes up, it comes back down again to freak everyone out. It doesn't find enough sell volume, and it says, okay, screw that, we don't have enough, and we start moving back up. This all acts like this is all like regular market conditions playing out. I call bullshit. I think this is all by design. I don't think these systems play out over and over and over against across multiple assets the world over, because it's just market conditions. I think these are market maker plays that the institutional playbook has basically been doing since I don't know how long. I mean, we didn't have much of this. I haven't gone back and back tested it, but if I'm going to hazard a guess, we didn't see these patterns playing out prior to 2017 when the CME came into the field. Okay, this is the institutional playbook by design. Now, from here, a few caveats worth noting. If the ST fails and breaks below $60,000 on heavy volume, that invalidates the accumulation thesis and suggests further markdown, possibly towards 50 to 52,000 before a new SC forms. Volume behavior on the retest is everything here. So that's basically what to expect. We could get down to 50 grand. I think some of this narrative is going to be dependent upon whether or not we get some bullish news about the infrastructure bill. That's what I think is likely happening. And if we come down here, this is 55,000. It's the bottom of this. So if we start seeing high volume, which right now the volume is pretty normal and you can see it's tapering down a little bit. So we're going to have to just keep an eye on the volume profile and see where we think this is likely going to go. And I think a lot of the news that's basically going around everywhere is going to tell us like, hey, if the meeting today, if we start seeing it blow up on Twitter and, they say, oh, this has been stalled, well, then I'm going to watch the volume grow. At that point, I might enter a short and wait until we get down into the $50,000 range. If they say, we made great headwinds, things are looking good, we're going to pass this thing in the spring, then it's very likely, well, one of two things could happen. Either all the market manipulators and all the yahoos in the space are going to do whatever they can to try and get themselves in a better position before things kick off in the spring, or it's going to send the market sentiment up. Because everybody's going to know we're going to get a breath of fresh air in the spring, and hopefully things will get passed through the Senate and get signed by Trump, and that's it. But I also want to say one thing, and don't forget, sign up, run the SEO audit, and win a free website. But here's the thing that I want to point out. Because I see so much division constantly, right? All over Facebook, all over the place. We're always put at odds with each other. Everything about the Bad Bunny halftime show versus the Turning Point halftime show. We're in this sea of constant division. And I want to point one thing out. I had somebody call me a bunch of names because I defended something about Trump recently. And I'm like, wow, like you don't even know me and you're calling me the most disgusting things just because that's what it was. I basically pointed out that like Trump didn't actually knowingly post. I don't think he knowingly posted the Obama meme. He posted a video about the election, about election fraud in 2020. And there was like it quickly swapped over to some random meme where I don't know, it was from a video where everybody was a Lion King character or something like that. I don't know. Somebody set that up. Obviously, I don't think Trump knew that. if you look back in Trump's history, there's no sign of racism there. It's just a narrative, right? I mean, I've watched so many videos talking about Trump back in the day, like when Jesse Jackson was running for president, he gave him all these different office locations all over the country for his campaigns. He did, business loans for Black Americans who basically, they couldn't get business loans back then. Banks didn't want to loan to them, so Trump would give them business loans. And when they came back to repay him, he said, nope, good luck with your business. He wouldn't take repayment. There's so much stuff that he's done. I don't buy the bullshit, right? It's all narrative. And people, the media is just so disgusting with what they get away with today. And then, of course, anyone that defends it says, oh, well, that's all free speech. Well, there should still be consequences for lying, propaganda, for nonsense, for bullshit. Who's responsible for allowing the propaganda to really start taking shape in this country? Well, if you don't know, look it up. Okay. Now, here's the thing. The truth of the matter is, I see half of the country patting themselves on the back because they voted for Trump. I see the other half of the country mad as hell, calling racist this and ICE that, and all the ICE protests and all of these things. And there's a point to crypto to me bringing this up. The reality that I see is, how many people has Trump kicked out of the country? Like, how many illegals has he deported? Like 700,000 maybe by now. How many did Clinton deport? Millions. Obama, millions. I think to the tune of like 6 million, people. And at the time, there wasn't even this whole illegal thing going on, all these people that illegally crossed the border. These were just people that were here. They found their way here. It wasn't like the gate was open and they said, come on in. It was just people who really like smuggled themselves in, right? Nobody raised an eye. Nobody cared, right? And now all of a sudden, Trump deports like 700,000 people so far to date out of the millions and millions that cross the border illegally. And all of a sudden, the media is up in arms and everybody's fighting the system and all of this other shit. Where was all the uproar back in the day? My point is, everybody needs a bad guy. Whether it's the right needs somebody to point the finger at, the left needs somebody to point the finger at. And the reality is, it does not fucking matter who is in office. There's a much bigger plan at play that has been playing out for decades. And now we're at a pinnacle of a grand transition out of the old ways of finance into everything being tokenized, on-chain, 24/7, and basically the quickening across the board. We're seeing it in the charts. We're seeing it across everything. Not only that, we have AI that's coming on and taking over pretty much everything. More and more jobs are going to be lost as AI exponentially grows and continues to do so, replacing the tasks and the jobs of so many people in this country. Trump knows it. Everybody else knows it. They're not building these ginormous record-breaking data centers for no reason, because AI is going to be monitoring everything we do. The point is, we are constantly kept at a divisive state, always arguing, always bickering with one another, always trying to get one over on the next guy or the person that doesn't agree with whatever the narrative is that any of us is bought into. And the reality is, we are all fighting the wrong people. And it doesn't matter what side you're on. It's all propaganda, and everybody needs an enemy, somebody to blame for the bad things that are happening, the narratives. And all of that is perpetuated by the media that continues to fuel this. Nobody's ever asked themselves, well, why is half the country pissed off at this person for this, but they weren't pissed off at the other person for doing the same thing or worse? Why is everything so seemingly cherry-picked by the media to tell everyone what to be pissed off about? This division is meant to give everyone the illusion of choice, and that's all there is to it. And as long as one side feels like they're getting something over on the other in this grand world of and sea of shit that we're consuming on a regular basis, and we're always at odds and we're always fighting, we never really notice that both sides of that aisle are constantly feeding themselves from diluting us of everything we hold dear, whether it's our financial freedom, our speech freedoms, any freedoms. While we're being taxed more is being taken from us. Our opportunities are being taken away from us as more and more people are losing their jobs. And the thing it is that everybody's arguing arguing so much about the dumbest shit, whether it's the halftime show or ICE or whatever. Everybody's so up in arms about all of these narratives pushed out by the media that nobody's paying attention to the fact that the tokenization of this country and other countries across the globe are only going to enslave us even further. And you know what? We're not going to have anybody to bitch to. You think that dialing a tech support number or a support number and getting somebody on the phone that barely speaks English is a problem for you today? Wait until it's AI and there is no human being to talk to at all, because that's already started. Everything is going to be monitored, regulated, controlled. You say something bad online, guess what? Your CBDC is going to be cut off, or your money's going to be cut in half. All the people that are on any form of universal income, which is going to happen, it's going to be on chain. It's going to be regulated and monitored by AI. I'm telling you right now, this is all happening. And the thing is that who better than someone like Trump to spearhead a lot of this tokenization than, somebody on the right, because that's their job, right? When you look at the right and you look at the left is all about projecting these narratives of like, we're here for you, we're here for the people, protecting you and giving you free shit. And then the right is, well, they're the Wall Street guys that control everything. They're the man. They're the bad people because they just want to take our money and it's all a bunch of bullshit. Overall, I guess what I'm trying to say is it doesn't matter if it's Trump or a Biden or a Kamala or a freaking Scooby-Doo. It really doesn't matter. They're all allowed to be in the seats of power that they've been put in, not because of the votes, not because of any of that shit. I have a whole other theory about how voting actually works in this country, and I don't think it's what anybody really thinks. I think that these people are ultimately put in place. Why do you think nobody ever really gets in trouble for anything? I mean, you get some, a low-ranking person here or there that's basically a patsy so they can say, hey, we deal with them. Nobody's above the law. There are so many criminals in politics today. Nothing ever happens to any of them, no matter what the hell they do. It's all covered up, pushed to the side. It's because they played the game. They played the game the way it's supposed to be played at the dictation of those truly in power. And those truly in power have already laid out where that we're going to be in 5 years, 10 years. Everyone that's in a position of power between now and then are there to just basically be the pin cushions, the punching bags. And to take that job, they get all of the perks associated with having that position of power as long as they keep doing what they're supposed to do, play by the book. And a lot of people are like, oh, Trump doesn't play by the book. He's his own thing. Yeah, I'm not convinced of that. How well have our crypto assets been doing since this pro-crypto administration was sworn in? Let's be real about it, okay? He's been making a bunch of money. Everyone around him has been making a bunch of money. Wall Street's been making a bunch of money. But the president who was actually responsible, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure he was the one who initially put the tax on Bitcoin and crypto assets to begin with. Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. So now the guy who basically decided to tax everybody for all of their crypto transactions is now a pro-crypto administration who's doing all of this regulation and arguing and bickering back and forth with the banking cartels that ultimately control everything and are threatened by the tokenization of everything. And we're expecting him to basically go to bat for us and actually serve the people. We'll find out how this concludes, because so far I've seen no benefit, no winning, no nothing positive. And I'm not saying that I dislike Trump or that I think he can be an asshole sometimes. I think he's brilliant in other ways. I just call it as I see it, man. That's all there is to it. And what I see right now is a tokenization of everything, the preliminary transition of the world. And if you think we're that different from any other country, whether they're controlled by a liberal or a Democrat or a righty or whatever, it's all the same shit. Look across the world. Everything is happening the same way. It's just led by different people with different narratives attached to them. That's it. That's it. I don't think it matters. So all I could really say is, rather than everybody bickering with each other ad nauseum on social media, trying to look like they know something, look, myself included, we're all fucking fools. We're all fools. If any of us are playing into these narratives and these arguments, 90% of them are AI bot driven anyway, for God's sakes. Half the time you're arguing with a fucking bot with a name and 14 digits after their username. You honestly think that's a real person? Get the hell out of here, man. They're there to spur interest, to spur engagement, to rage bait everybody who wants to argue and bicker. That's all this shit is about, and every one of us falls into it. So, the next time, and some people could disagree, but I'm tired of winning too. I'm so tired of winning. I've been winning so hard since Trump was sworn in. I'm ready for some winning to actually start. And I'll tell you right now, there could be something to be said that, listen, a lot of the banking institutions, the Larry Fink, so they're all lefties, right? They're all lefties. And most people at the pinnacle top are lefties. Well, why is that? Because if you look at any left-wing narrative, it typically evolves around controlling the populace, controlling people, adding restrictions, taxing more, power to the top, bigger government, more control. So, of course, a lot of these people that are already filthy rich and devoid of anything that has to do with what us normal people have to live with, they're all above that shit in the clouds. So it makes sense that some of the most prominent, wealthy people in the world are Democrats. Let's just be real about it, okay? We want to believe, and propaganda would lead us to believe, that they're all Republicans because that's just the narrative that's been bought and sold for so long. But the reality is that the cream rises to the top when it comes to money from the little people and put into the hands of those above us. And those people above us are generally Democrats, okay? So, when I see all of this stuff just constantly being spewed all over the internet, I just have to take a break and a pause. And I say, you know what? It's just not worth fighting over. Because I don't care if you've got purple hair, you're trans, you're gay, you're I don't know, man. You like to dress up in furry outfits and yell at, police, whatever it is. You're really not my enemy. The same way anyone on the right isn't my enemy for whatever they believe. My enemy are the people who are at the top, skirting and evading any kind of accountability for anything they do. These politicians, these career politicians that are constantly filling their pockets from the lobbyist groups and the corporations, the corporate interests, all these people that are basically just constantly pushing to get laws passed to make my fucking life worse. Those are the enemy, not the people that are confused, not the people that, they read some headline and they bought into it because they're just so used to believing everything their media tells them. They're not really the enemy. We're all victims of the same system that keeps us divided and keeps us fighting and keeps us arguing while the world is changing under our fingertips in a way that's not going to benefit the majority of us. I don't know. Just keep that in mind the next time you start arguing with a bot on Facebook or you've got something to say, because chances are you're full of shit. So is the person you're arguing with. And until we start really looking at who's really responsible and what's really going on, I just don't see anything changing. And it's a sad state of affairs. So that's it. That's all I got to say. Hopefully this video is helpful. Make sure you check the links in the description below. I also released a new book called The Resonance Protocol. I've been working on so many different things because I'm just so fed up with winning this past year, the last 12 months, that, I just decided to take on 12 fucking jobs at the same time, hoping something makes me $1. How about that? How's that for winning? And you know what? It may sound like I'm like pissed off across the board. And it's not that I'm pissed off across the board. I just, I see this stuff unfolding all the time everywhere I look. And I'm like, you know what? Everyone in this country is a fucking idiot. That's just all I can say. Every one of us is an idiot. I'm just as guilty as anyone else. I see shit all the time. And I just deleted a huge post that I almost posted today. And I'm like, you know what? There's no point. There's no point, because today we've been suffering through this propaganda nonsense for so long. Everyone's set. I feel like we're all elderly people. We're all set in our ways, our belief system, and nobody's budging. And the reality is we're all wrong. That's the truth. We're all wrong. We think we're so right. We think we've got it all on lock, but we're all wrong. You know how I know we're wrong? Because if none of us can get along as human beings in a world full of opportunity and at a time when we all really need to be coming together and figuring out things and solutions together, and we're all still divided like this, and it's only getting worse day after day after day, that's when I know we're all wrong. And the people above us are just laughing at us for being so wrong and so fucking gullible. So that's all I have to say today. Crow your coins, folks. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you again soon.
If it's bull or bear, I don't care. It's quite a rough ride, just like life. But I'm kinda patient, 'cause only time will tell. It's gonna go up, so you better stay calm.